Here you're going to look at an introduction to amines. Amines are derived from ammonia, where one or more of the hydrogens of ammonia is replaced by an alkyl or an aryl group. So if one of these hydrogens is replaced by an R group, well, that will give us a primary amine. Primary amines when I've got one alkyl group bonded to the N. If I was to then remove another hydrogen, replace it with another R group, this would give me a secondary amine. So secondary amines when I've got two R groups bonded to the nitrogen. If I get rid of that hydrogen, replace it with an R, that would give me a tertiary amine, where I've got three R groups bonded to the nitrogen. And now it is possible for this lone pair to be used and form a dative bond with another R group. And this would give me something called a quaternary ammonium salt. Okay, where if I've got a counter ion there, my bromide ion, this would be a quaternary ammonium bromide salt. Now, if we have a look at naming amines, firstly we're going to look at where the amine is a higher priority functional group. So here we've got the amine is really the only functional group in there, and I'm going to number this from right to left in order to give this amine group here the lowest number possible. And here we'd use the suffix amine. So this we call propan 1 amine. If I've got a higher priority functional group, then the amine group needs a prefix. So we've now got this alcohol group. This has got higher priority. So this alcohol group will get the suffix -ol, and this therefore now needs a prefix. And the prefix, if we've got an amine group, is amino. And again, we're going to number this from right to left in order to give this amine group the lowest number possible. It doesn't matter which end I name it from. If I name it from left to right or from right to left, this alcohol is going to be on number 2. So we need to give the amine the lowest number. So it becomes 1 amino propan 2 ol. So we've got a suffix of amine if the amine is the higher priority functional group, and the prefix amino if it's the lower priority functional group. If I want to name secondary, tertiary or quaternary amines, we would do so in the following way. Now, if I've got two the same alkyl group bonded to my nitrogen, then I would use the multiplier. And this then is di, because I've got two methyls there, so it's dimethyl, and then I simply put the word amine. So that there will be dimethyl amine. If I've got 3 of the same functional group, so now let's say I've got 3 of these ethyls, then this will become triethyl amine. And if I've got a quaternary ammonium salt, let's say I've got 4 and then this would be tetra, because I've got 4 tetra, I've got 4 methyls, tetramethyl ammonium, And then the next part of the name depends on what my counter ion is. Let's say it's a bromide. So this would be tetramethyl ammonium bromide. So tetramethyl, because I've got 4 methyl groups. If you have the different alkyl groups around your nitrogen, so let's say I've got something like this. I've got 2 methyls and an ethyl. Then the alkyl groups are listed alphabetically. So we've got an ethyl will come before the methyl. So this compound will be ethyl dimethyl amine. So obviously the E comes before the M. The di is not relevant. It's the actual first letter of the alkyl group. Now, the properties of the amine is due to the lone pair on this nitrogen. And it all depends on what it's using this lone pair to form a bond with. And firstly, the amine can use this lone pair to form a bond with a hydrogen ion. And here the amine is acting as a Bronsted-Lowry base. It's a proton acceptor or a hydrogen ion acceptor. And we'll look at amines as bases in a later video. The amine can also use the lone pair to form a bond with an electropositive carbon. So delta plus carbon. And here the amine is acting as a nucleophile. And again, we'll look at amines as nucleophiles in a later video. And the amine can also use its lone pair to form a bond with a transition metal or a transition metal ion. And here the amine is acting as a ligand, and that's something you'll look at when you do transition metals. So we've had there a look at a brief introduction to amines. We've looked at how amines can be classified as primary, secondary and tertiary, and also we've got these things called quaternary ammonium salts. We've looked at naming amines when we've got amines as a higher priority functional group, when the amine is a lower priority functional group. We looked at naming secondary amines, tertiary amines and quaternary amines, and there we've got different alkyl groups on the amine. And what we're going to look at in future videos is specifically when amines use its lone pair to form a bond with a hydrogen, acting as a base, and when the amine uses its lone pair to form a bond with an electropositive carbon, that is reacting as a nucleophile. As I said, amines as ligands is something you will look at in the inorganic part in transition metals. So that there is an introduction to amines.